And since we weren't able to get to it yesterday, it's time now for your weekly hot jobs report brought to you by Workforce Solutions of the Coastal Bend. First up on the list in Corpus Christi, there's an opening for a registered dental assistant. Pays between $12 to $16 an hour. Also in Corpus Christi, a spot is open for a rehabilitation teacher. You must have 2 years experience as a case manager or a case coordinator. A vehicle attendant or customer ambassador is also needed out of Corpus. 6 months experience and a high school diploma or a GED is required. Pay starts at $12 an hour. Also on the list, a customer service representative. You must be able to type 25 words a minute. Pay starts at $12 an hour plus benefits. And lastly on tonight's list, a director of communications, a bachelor's degree and 10 years experience is required, including 5 years in a supervisor role. To learn more about these jobs and several others, contact Workforce Solutions of the Coastal Bend.